Hi guys, welcome to my study compass. In this video, I'll be walking you through the past paper, Math P2, Variant 3, May-June 2021. Let's get started. Write down the number that is 23 less than negative 1.6. To find this number, we subtract 23 from negative 1.6. This gives us negative 24.6. Write as a fraction in its simplest form, 72%. When you type 72% or 72 over 100 on your calculator, you should get 18 over 25. Write as a fraction in its simplest form, 0.004. When you type 0.004 on your calculator, you should get 1 over 250. The diagram shows a pair of parallel lines and a straight line. Complete the statement with the correct geometrical reason. X equals 40 degrees because the angles are blank. Based on what we know about angles in parallel lines, the angles are corresponding. Find the value of y. Angles formed around a point add up to 360 degrees. Based on this, we have 2y plus 100 equals 360 degrees. When we make y the subject of the equation, we get y equals 130 degrees. Joe invests $600 for 7 years at a rate of 1.5% per year simple interest. Calculate the total interest earned during the 7 years. The total interest is equal to Joe's principal times the rate times the time duration divided by 100. The principal is $600, the rate is 1.5, and the time duration is 7. This gives us $63. Maria buys N pencils that cost P cents each. She pays with a Y dollar note. Find in terms of N, P, and Y the amount of change Maria receives. Give your answer in cents. The change Maria receives is equal to the amount she paid minus the total cost of the pencils. The amount she paid is Y dollars. $1 is equivalent to 100 cents, and so the amount she paid is the same as 100 Y cents. The total cost of the pencils is the unit cost of the pencil, which is P cents, times the number of pencils she bought, which is N. And so our final answer is 100Y minus NP cents. From the list of numbers, write down a cube number. 125 is a cube number because 5 cubed is 125. Write down a prime number. 29 is a prime number because it only has 2 factors, 1 and itself. Alex changes 190 euros into pounds when 1 pound is equal to 1.1723 euros. Calculate the amount Alex receives. Give your answer correct to 2 decimal places. So first, let's set up our conversion ratio. If 1 pound is 1.1723 euros, then 190 euros is X, which is what we want to find. From the ratio, we can set up an equation to find X, and this gives us 190 euros divided by 1.1723 euros times 1 pound. This gives us X equals 162.07 pounds, correct to 2 decimal places. Without using a calculator, work out 1/2 over 3 divided by 7/1 over 2. You must show all your working and give your answer as a fraction in its simplest form. In the first step, we convert all the mixed fractions into improper fractions. For 1/2 over 3, 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5 divided by 3. Then for 7/1 over 2, we have 2 times 7, which is 14, plus 1, which is 15 divided by 2. In the next step, we replace the division symbol and multiply 5 over 3 by the reciprocal of 15 over 2, which is 2 over 15. 5 goes into itself once and goes into 15 3 times. For the numerator, 1 times 2 is 2, and for the denominator, 3 times 3 is 9. So our final answer here is 2 over 9. Describe fully the single transformation that maps triangle T onto triangle A. When we look at both triangles T and A, we can tell straight away that this is a translation because both triangles have exactly the same lengths and orientation. Now, all we need to do is to find the translation vector. From the illustration above, we can tell that the translation vector is -1, -8. And so the full description for the transformation will be translation by the vector -1, -8. Draw the image of triangle T after an enlargement scale factor -1/2, center 0, 0. So first, let's mark the center of enlargement, which is at the origin 0, 0. To get to point B on triangle T from the center, we move 2 units upwards and 2 units to the right. So to pin the new position of point B, we need to move in the opposite direction by half because remember, the enlargement scale factor is -1/2. And so to get the new position of point B, we move downwards instead of up, and we move by 1 unit, which is half of the 2 units we moved initially. Then we move to the left instead of the right, and we move by 1 unit, which is half of the 2 units we moved initially. After repeating this same process for all the vertices, we are now able to map out this new image of triangle T. Simplify 3x cubed times 4x raised to the power 4. So we have 3 times 4 and we have x cubed times x raised to the power 4, which is the same as x raised to the power 3 plus 4. 3 times 4 is 12 and 3 plus 4 is 7. And so our final answer is 12x raised to the power 7. X is an integer and 2x minus 1 is greater than and equal to -3 and less than 3. Find the values of x. Let's add 1 to both sides of the inequality. -3 plus 1 is -2 and 3 plus 1 is 4. When we divide through the inequality by 2, we have x is greater than and equal to -1 and less than 2. We've been told in the question that x is an integer, and so the integers in the range we have found are -1, 0 and 1. Expand and simplify 6 times t minus q minus 2 times t minus 3q. When we expand the brackets, 6 times t is 6t. 6 times -q is -6q. -2 times t is -2t. -2 times -3q is 6q. By grouping like terms, -6q plus 6q is 0 and 6t minus 2t is 4t, which is our final answer. The magnitude of the vector 20k is 29. Find the value of k. The magnitude of the vector can be expressed as square root of 20 squared plus k squared, and this is equal to 29. When we square both sides of the equation, we have 20 squared plus k squared equals 29 squared. When we make k the subject, we get plus and minus square root of 29 squared minus 20 squared. When we type square root of 29 squared minus 20 squared into the calculator, we get 21. And so k is equal to plus and minus 21. In the diagram, AB is parallel to CD. AD and BC intersect at X. AB is 6 cm, CD is 12 cm, CX is 8 cm, and DX is 7 cm. Complete the statement. Triangle ABX is blank to triangle DCX. The answer here is similar. Whenever two parallel lines intersect like this, they form similar triangles. This is because when we apply the knowledge of angles in parallel lines, we find that the angles in both triangles are the same. Work out the length of BX. By comparing the corresponding lengths of the triangles, we have BX over CX equals AB over CD. When we substitute the values of AB, CD, and CX into the equation and make BX the subject, we get 4 centimeters. The area of triangle DCX is 26.906 centimeters squared. Use this value to find the area of triangle ABX. For this area, we have the area of triangle ABX divided by the area of triangle DCX equals one of the side lengths of triangle ABX, which is AB, divided by the corresponding length in triangle DCX, which is CD. Since we are equating the lengths to the area, we need to square AB over CD. When we substitute the values of AB, CD, and the area of triangle DCX, we get triangle ABX as 6.7625 centimeters squared. Find the area of triangle ACX. When we compare triangles ACX and ABX, we notice that both triangles share the same perpendicular height, and the base of triangle ABX, which is 4 centimeters, is twice the base of triangle ACX, which is 8 centimeters. So based on area equals half base times height, we can say that since the height stays constant and the base for ACX is double that of ABX, then the area of ACX is also double that of ABX. Therefore, the area of triangle ACX is 2 times 6.7265 centimeters squared, which gives us 13.453 centimeters squared. The sides of a regular hexagon are 80 millimeters correct to the nearest millimeter. Calculate the lower bound of the perimeter of the hexagon. Since we are correcting the side length to the nearest millimeter, we bring plus and minus 1 millimeter, then we divide it by 2. The hexagon has a total of 6 sides with equal lengths. So now the lower bound of the perimeter of the hexagon will be 6 times the lower bound of the side length, which is 80 minus 0.5 millimeters. When we type this into the calculator, we get 477 millimeters. The interior angle of a regular polygon is 175 degrees. Calculate the number of sides. First, we know the sum of interior angles in any regular polygon is 180 times n minus 2. All angles in a regular polygon are equal, and so the sum of the interior angles in this case will be the size of one of the interior angles, which is 175 times n. We want to find the number of sides of this polygon, so we need to make n the subject of the equation. When we group like terms, we have 180n minus 175n giving us 5n, which is equal to 360. When we divide both sides of the equation by 5, we get n equals 72. A car starts from rest and accelerates at a rate of 3 meters per second squared for 4 seconds. The car then travels at a constant speed for 10 seconds. The diagram shows the speed time graph for this journey. Find the value of v. We've been given the acceleration of the car during the first 4 seconds, so we can use the acceleration formula to find the value of v. When we apply the formula, we get 3 equals v minus 0 divided by 4 minus 0. V minus 0 is v and 4 minus 0 is 4. When we move 4 to the other side of the equation, it goes to multiply 3. This gives us v equals 12. Calculate the total distance traveled by the car during the 14 seconds. The total distance traveled by the car during the 14 seconds is the area under the graph from t equals 0 to t equals 14. This area is in the shape of a trapezium, and so this gives us half times the top length, which is 10, plus the bottom length, which is 14, times the height, which is 12. When we type this into the calculator, we get the total distance traveled as 144 meters. P, Q, and T are points on a circle. ATB is a tangent to the circle at T, and PT equals PQ. Find angle TPQ. Based on the alternate segment theorem, this angle here is also equal to 50 degrees. Triangle PQT is an isosceles triangle, and we know that base angles in an isosceles triangle are equal. So this angle here is also equal to 50 degrees. All the angles in triangle PQT must add up to 180 degrees, and so angle TPQ plus 2 times 50 degrees equals 180 degrees. This gives us angle TPQ as 80 degrees. The diagram shows a cyclic quadrilateral with an exterior angle of 68 degrees. Find the value of W and the value of X. Angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. And so when we subtract 68 degrees from 180 degrees, we get 112 degrees. Opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180 degrees, and so W plus 112 degrees equals 180 degrees. This gives us W equals 68 degrees. 3x plus 2x must also be equal to 180 degrees. 3x plus 2x is 5x. If we divide both sides by 5, we get x equals 36 degrees. Simplify 2.1 times 10 raised to the power p plus 2.1 times 10 raised to the power p minus 1. Give your answer in standard form. To be able to add the two numbers in standard form, we need to ensure that both have the same power of 10. If we multiply 10 raised to the power p minus 1 by 10, we get 10 raised to the power p. This means we also need to divide 2.1 by 10, and this gives us 0.21. Now that both terms have 10 raised to the power p, we can rewrite this as 2.1 plus 0.21 times 10 raised to the power p. 2.1 plus 0.21 is 2.31. 2.31 is between 1 and 0, and so we can leave it as our final answer. The shortest distance from B to AC is 12.8 centimeters. Calculate BC. In other words, this distance, 12.8 centimeters, is the length of the perpendicular line from point B to AC, as shown on the diagram. To find BC, we can apply SOHCAHTOA. This gives us sin 65 degrees equals 12.8 centimeters divided by BC. When we make BC the subject, we get 12.8 over sin 65 degrees centimeters. When we type this into the calculator, we get BC equals 14.1 centimeters, correct to 3 significant figures. Z is inversely proportional to the square of y minus 2. When y equals 5, z equals 9. Find z in terms of y. In mathematical terms, let's write z is inversely proportional to y minus 2 squared. This means that z is equal to a constant which we are going to call k times 1 over y minus 2 squared. To find the value of k, we substitute the values of y equals 5 and z equals 9 given in the question. This gives us 9 equals k divided by 5 minus 2 squared. When we make k the subject, we get k equals 81. Therefore, z is equal to 81 divided by y minus 2 squared. A triangle has sides of length 11 centimeters, 10 centimeters, and 9 centimeters. Calculate the largest angle in the triangle. The largest angle in the triangle is the angle opposite the longest length, which in this case is 11 centimeters. We've labeled this as angle A. By applying the cosine rule and making angle A the subject, we have cosine inverse of A squared minus the sum of B squared and C squared divided by -2 times BC. A is 11, B is 10, and C is 9. When we type this into the calculator, we get angle A equals 70.5 degrees, correct to 1 decimal place. On the axis, sketch the graph of these functions. Y equals 2 over x. This type of function is a reciprocal function. You can quickly sketch the graph if you are able to recall its shape from memory, or you can try to plot some sample points of the function to be able to draw the graph. Sketch the graph y is equal to 2 raised to the power -x. In this case, we are dealing with an exponential function. You can also sketch this graph by recalling its shape from memory, or you can plot sample points to determine the shape of the graph. Find the x-coordinates of the points on the graph of y equals x raised to the power 5 minus 5x raised to the power 4, where the gradient is 0. The gradient of a curve can be found by differentiating the equation of the curve. In this case, when we differentiate y, we have 5x raised to the power 4 minus 20x cubed. When the gradient is 0, we equate 5x raised to the power 4 minus 20x cubed to 0. When we factor out 5x cubed, we are left with x minus 4. When we equate 5x cubed to 0, we get x equals 0. And when we equate x minus 4 to 0, we get x equals 4. So the x-coordinates of the points on the curve where the gradient is 0 are 0 and 4. Malik goes to a shop every day to buy bread. Calculate the probability that on any day there is bread for Malik to buy. To help us visualize this problem better, we can draw a tree diagram. We've been told that the probability that Malik goes to the shop in the morning is 0.7. When we subtract 0.7 from 1, we get 0.3, which is the probability that Malik does not go to the shop in the morning. We've also been told that if he goes in the morning, the probability that Malik gets bread to buy is 0.95. When we subtract 0.95 from 1, we get 0.05, which is the probability that Malik does not get bread to buy if he goes in the morning. The probability that there's bread for Malik if he goes later has been given as 0.6. When we subtract 0.6 from 1, we get 0.4, which is the probability that Malik does not get bread to buy if he goes later. The probability that there is bread for Malik to buy on any day is in two different scenarios. He goes in the morning and gets bread, or he goes later and gets bread. This gives us 0.7 times 0.95 plus 0.3 times 0.6. When we type this into the calculator, we get 0.845. Thank you for watching. I hope you found this video useful. See you in the next video. Bye guys.